stop. So it is also the browser. Let's go over into the Zoom meeting in the browser. And I'm just going to put a message. Okay. I'm going to go back to OBS. And I can see it. So once I set it up, then it will start to pull. So you want to do this at the start. And you can either have this free floating, or if you hover in certain parts, I like to put it here, drop it beside. You can put it in different places, but you can have it beside moving. But now let's actually set up the second part, which is the overlay. And there are two ways to do this. I'm going to show you the first way, which is sort of the simplest way, but then I'll teach you the preferred way. So in this scene, this is just a scene with me and my camera, and all you can see, the only source is the camera. So I can add a browser source by clicking plus, browser, and now I want to grab from the extension the overlay. And so if we go over here into this meeting chat, I can stream that. I go down to here. I'm going to copy this. Then I'll go back to OBS. And I'm going to call this social stream. Overlay. And I replace with URL with the one that I just copied. Now I need to pick the width and the height. And for me, I want it to be pretty wide, but not necessarily the entire width, which would be at 1920. So I will say, we'll do 1600, and I'll leave the height at 2. You can play around and see what it is that you like and what your preference is. Then you say, okay, it's up here. I'm going to bring it down here a little bit off of the corner. So I've got a bit of room around it, but it is placed in the lower third area. Okay, so let's see what happens when I play. So if I just click here, now you can see the comment comes up. And if we go over to Zoom, actually Zoom meeting, and here, actually let's look at the one in the browser. It's in the lower third area. Okay, so let's see what happens when I play. So if I just click here, now you can see the comment comes up. And if we go over to Zoom, actually Zoom meeting, let's click here. Actually, let's look at the one in the browser. The one in the browser, I can see in the Zoom meeting that it is showing up on on my video overlay. Let's add a few more messages, and I am going to add them from the app. And let's go into our Zoom meeting, and I've pre-prepared a few comments. So I've got an example here, an example. This is a longer one, so I can show you what that looks like. And I've got another example here. You can see that meeting support is a browser lens, and then it's myself, my paid account here. And if I go back over into OBS, all of those have shown up. The longer one is really long, and it's actually a little bit messy. So you can play around with the width and how you like to see it. If we were to toggle over to our browser, so if I go to our Chrome browser and then go here, it's a little bit easier to read in the browser here. So just saying. And actually, I don't have OBS showing, but if I click on this, it's connected to OBS. So if I click on this, it will change, and now it shows this one in the meeting. So you can see how you can control it either from this browser, which I just made smaller, or you can control it from OBS. So if you go over to OBS, I can click on it here. And if you clicked on it, it will turn green. Now click on one in the browser and one here, but that shows you that you have already shown that one. Let's take a look at a bigger one. You can see an example here of how big that is. If we go back over to meeting, let's go to the browser, you can see what this looks like when it's on the overlay. So you don't want it to be too long. If it's really, really, really long, the font is going to get very tiny. But this is a pretty long question, and it works. If we see this example, it's a little bit shorter. And I highlight here, you can use this with other apps. Teams, Crowdcast, Discord, Vimeo, YouTube, Twitch, and it just has an update for sessions as well. So there are a lot of ways you can use this, but today we're focusing on how to use this in Zoom for this and listen to what it's saying. Also, this here is where I updated the color. So the default was yellow. I updated it to match my color, and so you can do that as well. So if we go back to OBS, if you ever want to pop out the chat, you can just click here and this will pop out the chat, and you can decide where you want to go. And this is where you can adjust it when you're looking. The other thing I want to bring your attention to, let's cover my duplicates here, is that there is a thing called the queue. So if I cover and say, oh, I'm talking right now, but I want to address it. So first of all, let's do this one. So if I click, I showed it here, and I click it here. When you click it again, it goes in. So let's go back into OBS. We've got our main block, and I know that I want to show this one. Press Control, click on it, and that will highlight it. I'll let you click on it. What I'm doing is actually adding these two here. So I now have these two things in here, and at the bottom, you can see here that there is, this means there's a queue. If I click on this little hamburger menu, it will actually show me everything that I've highlighted or put in the queue. If I click it again, it will go back to my main chat. And if I click on this, it will actually show the queue. So let's just kind of move this over to the side a little bit. I don't want to play Docket, but I do want to use the queue. And so you can say this one, so it pulls up the first one in the queue. Then if I click on this again, it will just go to the next one right after. And so now the queue is empty. There's nothing else in the queue. You can easily add things to the queue by saying Control and click on comment. So if I wanted to add this big one here,